The U.S. stock index futures came under pressure ahead of Friday's open following a positive session seen the previous day, where the Dow futures slipped 43 points, indicating a slightly downbeat open, with the S&P 500 and Nasdaq futures pointing to a relatively flat to negative start to the day. And the markets in Asia largely advanced on Friday following a strong lead in Wall Street and positive news on the U.S.-China trade front. The Nikkei 225 traded up by 0.35%, while in South Korea, the Kospi rose by 0.28%. The ASX 200 edged around 0.17% higher, closing at 6,333.2. In the Greater China region, the Hang Seng Index traded 0.11% up, with the most sectors in mixed territory. On the mainland, the Shanghai Composite fell by 1.33%. Away from the markets now to Nigeria, where the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has announced that it plans to list about 40% shares of the corporation on the Nigerian Stock Exchange as soon as the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill gets presidential approval. Well, this was made known by the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Dr. Mekanti Baru, at the Association of Energy Correspondents of Nigeria conference in Lagos. Dr. Baru hints that the initial 40% shares shall be held by the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, while the Bureau of Public Enterprises will hold 20%. He explains that an additional 30% of the shares of the company will be floated on the Nigerian Stock Exchange within the next 5 years. Meanwhile, the Central Bank of Nigeria says the aggregate foreign exchange inflow into the country increased to $91 billion, or 32.48 trillion naira in 2017. According to the regulator's 2017 annual report released, the figure represents an increase of 45% from 62.75 billion recorded in 2016. Inflow through the CBN was $42.17 billion, while inflow through autonomous sources amounted to $48.33 billion. At the same time, aggregate forex outflow from the economy increased by 31.8% to $33.68 billion, compared to $25.55 billion reported in 2016. The CBN attributes the increase in forex inflow to sustained intervention at the interbank and bureau de change segments of the foreign exchange markets. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has agreed to set up a commission of inquiry into alleged governance failures at the state-owned pension fund. The Public Investment Corporation, which manages about $130 billion of civil servants' pensions, has come under fire after an opposition party alleged that its chief executive, Dan Majela, had misused funds and made careless investment decisions. The PIC and Majela have denied any wrongdoing. The Treasury ordered the probe in July, but it was up to Ramaphosa to formally anoint the process. According to the Ministry of Finance, the Commission's terms of reference will include a review of the PIC's governance and operating model, possible changes to the PIC's founding legislation, and its Memorandum of Incorporation and Investment Decision-Making Framework. Meanwhile, South African fashion retailer Truworths International has created a Chief Operating Officer position to boost retail sales growth at home and in the UK. The company's Chief Financial Officer, Mr. David Paff, has been appointed to the new COO position and will be responsible for retail store operations and continue his role as the CFO. This comes as consumer spending remains under pressure and online competition is growing. Truworths, which also runs British footwear chain Office, made the announcement after reporting a 7.3% fall in annual profit, sending its shares more than 4% higher. Diluted earnings per share declined to 612.7 cents, while group retail shares fell 2.7% to 18 billion rand. A group funding project in Kenya known as Table Banking is offering rural women small startup loans at low interest to start their own businesses. Well, many of these women have been able to fend for their families with their contributions and even give loans to others through a rural microfinance scheme.
These women in Bungoma, Western Kenya, have their monthly meeting to discuss savings and loans for members. They are part of a community banking group started in 2014 that contributes funds to a savings pool that they can borrow small loans from. Many commercial lenders are reluctant to provide finance without collateral for people viewed to be poor and high risk. It is even more difficult for communities in rural areas to access financing, so the women turn to table banking, a popular funding concept which is literally conducted over a table where members borrow and save money whenever they meet. Table banking aims to get members to bring back sums borrowed that can in turn be loaned out to other members of the group at low interest rates.
Some of us were living in rented houses, and sometimes it was difficult for us to pay rent. So we thought that if we can loan each other money, then we can be able to pay our rent, start business, and in future, rent will not be a problem. So that is how we started.
The group of 17 women is also affiliated to the Joyful Women organization, JOYWO, a body that promotes table banking among other poverty reduction projects nationwide. The women have been able to start a business growing chilies for export on their plot of land with proceeds from the organization.
We planted 3,000 chili stems on the half-acre plot we bought. We have been harvesting chilies for 2 months now. We have 22 kilograms of chili, which we sell for about $2 per kilo.
Critics say many women who take microcredit are repeat borrowers and have become dependent on loans for household expenditures rather than capital investments. The women also get classes on how to balance their books and how to run their businesses effectively. Caroline Youngesa started a tailoring shop with a loan of $100 taken in 2016. She says she has been able to pay back her loan and grow her business.
I bought fabric worth about $35 and used the rest of the money to buy other materials like thread and lining. I sell fabric to customers and I also make outfits for them. I buy fabric at $9 and charge customers about $15 for a finished outfit.
With small loans, the women say they have been able to earn an income and stay out of debt.
It's a review of trading activities at the Nigerian Stock Exchange when we return in a moment. Please stay with us.